All right. Good morning, everybody. My name is Josh Decker, and I wanted to get on and start sharing some of what I've been learning over the journey that my wife and I have been on for really about the last 3 years, and some of what we've learned that we can't, unfortunately, unlearn. And now I feel really kind of obligated to share it with other people because I think when it comes to our health, a lot of us are really unconscious about some of the things that we do to our bodies, some of the things that we don't do to our bodies that we really should. And my wife and I have been learning a lot about this. So I'm going to be sharing some videos now and into the future that talks a little bit about what we've learned. So today there's two things I want to talk about. So one is toothpaste and the other one is antifreeze. And you say, wait a second, what does toothpaste and antifreeze have to do with each other? Well, so here's the thing. There's when you look at your toothpaste, there's a couple of things I want you to know. First, look at the back. You're going to see a warning on it, not to ingest. And, if you know anything about how your body works, you know that when you brush your teeth, when you put anything in your mouth, you're going to ingest some of whatever you put in. Now, on this particular bottle, it says, contact poison control if you ingest more than what is used for brushing. Okay. And so, well, what's used for brushing? Some people use a lot, some people use a little bit. It's unknown what's used for brushing, right? So what's the safe dosage, if you will, of that? But the other thing I want you to look at, so take your toothpaste and flip it over. Don't just look at that warning there, but also start looking at the ingredients. And specifically, there's a couple of ingredients I want you to focus on. The one that you're not going to see listed there is antifreeze. But what you likely will see listed there is this little ingredient called propylene glycol. And the reason I'm bringing that up is because when you look at antifreeze, okay, propylene glycol is the solvent that is used in antifreeze. So that same solvent is being used in your toothpaste. And you go, well, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. Okay, so let's explore this a little bit. So when you look at the chemical of propylene glycol, number one, it is a chemical that's extracted from petroleum products. So it is a petroleum thing. But what happens is there's different grades of propylene glycol. So there's the industrial grade, which gets used in things like the antifreeze. Then there's food grade, and there's also pharmaceutical grade. So what that tells us is there's just different levels of propylene glycol that are used. And so it's used not only in toothpaste, it's also used in deodorants and lotions and shampoos and soaps and foods like ice cream has propylene glycol in it most of the time. So all of these different places have this chemical in it that is also found in antifreeze. And so when you start thinking about this and you start getting past the initial oh my gosh, this has this horrible chemical in it. I mean, I like to think intelligently about things, right? And I like to do a little bit of research and try to understand what's going on. So, here's the thing. Any chemical that we use is going to pose a threat to us, right? And I think a lot of times what happens is we use products without knowing really much about them. It's on the store shelf. We look at it, we smell it, we see it, we go, oh yeah, this is great. We believe the marketing that's around it, but we never really get deep into what it is and whether it's actually good for us or not. And so inadvertently, we start using these chemicals. Now, if it was just the toothpaste, would I be really concerned about it? Probably not. But the fact that it's in toothpaste and deodorant and shampoo and conditioner and lotions and you name it, right? I mean, the list keeps growing from there. What that tells me is that even though the dosage may be safe in an isolated product, the fact that we are adding these products, on top of each other raises the risk that we pose to our body over time. Now, propylene glycol is soluble, so it doesn't bioaccumulate, which means it doesn't build up in the system. But even on a daily basis, right? So it takes about 48 hours to exit your system once you put it in. Even on a daily basis, if you look at what you put in your system, you're probably well beyond what's considered safe limits. And so I wanted to just explore with you really briefly, what are the issues with propylene glycol? What can it actually do? So, here's the thing. when you look at propylene glycol, you look at the material safety data sheet, that is provided by the CDC. Here's what you find. So number one is, like many other chemicals, it poses the risk of skin irritation and allergic reactions. Okay, anything can cause an allergic reaction, right? The second thing is, it is potentially toxic to your kidney and your liver, to your kidneys rather, and your liver, right? So if you put too much of this in for too long of a period of time, it can tax your kidneys and your liver to the point where they're not working properly. So think about how many times do you brush your teeth a day? Over how many years have you been brushing your teeth, right? Or how many years have you been also using deodorant? And you start seeing like, oh my gosh, I'm really adding stress to my kidneys and my liver, and that may not really be good, right? Then you also get the fact that it's probably not safe for infants and pregnant women. So if it's not safe for pregnant women, do pregnant women still brush their teeth? Well, my wife did, right? And I'm pretty sure most pregnant women still brush their teeth. Most pregnant women still put on deodorant, right? And so we're still using this chemical. It's still impacting our systems, which now means it's also impacting this baby. And it's probably not safe for infants, right? Which means that, as infants start getting older, right? Well, number one, we shouldn't be using lotions on them because most lotions have propylene glycol in it, right? And then you also have to start looking at, okay, well, is it also in formula? Is it in baby food? You really have to start dissecting where is it at and how are they potentially getting it. So it's being aware of what's in our products. The last thing is it has neurological symptoms. So propylene glycol, when when it starts impacting the body, some of what has been found is that it can have severe mental symptoms. And so when we think about that, here's what some of the studies have shown. Decreased activity, mental depression, slight to moderate ataxia. Okay, it can cause stupor, convulsions, and other unspecified severe mental conditions. So the things that propylene glycol can do really starts becoming scary when you think about it. And so, lots of people are using propylene glycol. Lots of people are obviously brushing their teeth, using deodorant, using lotions, using soaps. And so is it really something that we should be concerned with? Well, if you look and you start looking at, marketing and some of what is going on in the world, you'll see that the use of pharmaceuticals is increasing for things like issues with kidneys, for things like issues with blood sugar, with blood pressure. And when we start looking at the different chemicals that we put into our bodies and what they do, it's no wonder, right, that some of these things are coming up and increasing in frequency because of how much of these chemicals that we are exposed to. So what do we do about that? Well, if you want to start living healthier, the first thing I would tell you, drink more water. Forget everything else, just drink more water, especially things like propylene glycol. You can flush it out of your system. However, is it likely that you're going to be able to flush it out fast enough? Probably not. So what do you do? Well, if you can start reducing down the amount of propylene glycol you're exposed to. I mean, do my kids still eat ice cream? Unfortunately, yes. It's definitely not an everyday thing, right? Just in part because of sugar, but because of the chemicals that are in it. Do my kids brush their teeth? Yes. However, we have found safe alternatives for, this kind of stuff, because I don't want the propylene glycol. I don't want the sodium lauryl sulfate that's, in this, right? And sodium lauryl sulfate is a whole nother ingredient that we can talk about. So find safe alternatives. So if you want something safe, obviously there's other products out there. I'd be more than happy to share with you the products that my family has found that we use on a regular basis that doesn't have these chemicals in it. But if you just want something quick that you can say, you know what, toothpaste, let's get it gone. Pick up some baking soda. Believe it or not, just pick up some baking soda. Baking soda is generally considered safe for you, and you put a little bit of water on your toothbrush, a little bit of baking soda on your toothbrush, and just brush away. And that's going to do as much for your body as as much for your mouth, your oral health, as any toothpaste is going to do. Now, there's other, like I said, products out there that can help support your body in better ways, of which my family has found them. I'd love to share that with you. So, if you're interested in learning a little bit more, if you'd like to find out, gosh, what are some safe products for my family, do me a favor and just, drop me a line, whether it's a comment on this video or drop me a private message. I would be happy to talk with you and share with you some of what we've learned to be safe products and, how we know that they're safe. At a minimum, man, I hope that this was eye-opening for you. I said at the beginning, once you learn things, unfortunately, sometimes you can't unlearn them, right? This is one of those things. So hope that was a little bit of value to you. If it was, and if this, kind of shocks you a little bit that there's these chemicals in our products that we don't know, you know what, do me a favor and, well, it's not do me a favor, just post a little, response to this, right? And give me one of those like, oh my gosh faces, like one of those wow faces, because most people don't realize that this stuff is in our products. And so do your friends and family a favor, help educate them. Now that you know this, don't sit on it, right? Help educate them, and let's change the way people experience health. Okay. All right. Well, that's it for today, Morgan. I see your question, the recipe for pit paste. Are you talking about deodorant there? If so, just go ahead and put that on. Otherwise, I will be back and hopefully tomorrow with more of this kind of stuff. Hope this was of value, and I hope you have a great afternoon. Bye.